I am an immigration practitioner for very many years, and I rose to the rank of Director General in May 2023. And at the time, there were a lot of issues. That was the time when we had shortage of passport booklets. That was a time when there was a lot of outcry, a time when people were missing opportunities, medical cases needed to travel and there were no passports. So there was a lot of issues, and naturally anyone would really worry. Having been a practitioner for many years, I empathized with a lot of cases, and many people knew me personally, and of course you had to resolve their problems. At that time we put in a system whereby we could only deal with urgent cases. And having been around for a while, you can imagine how many urgent cases I was dealing with, even as an individual. So we needed to really put in place a system whereby everybody can access that service. So being new in the office, first and foremost, I took advantage of that because I needed to talk to the minister, I needed to talk to the government to be able to resolve whatever issue was there. And we were able to put in place systems, we were able to procure whatever was missing at that particular time, to put in systems that serve everyone fairly. And within a year, we were able to overcome that problem. And 1 year down the line, every Kenyan needed a passport and they got it. And I can tell you from then on up to now, we are able to issue Kenyan passports within 3 to 7 days.
Nice.
Thank you.
Ms. Cheluget, I come to you again. Digitizing immigration systems is no small feat. Earlier you said in Kenya now you do passports within 3 to 7 days. I'm sure you owe that to digitization. What internal resistance or systematic bottlenecks did you overcome to modernize processes of this nature, most especially as a woman?
Digitization is one process that helps organizations to be transparent, to also bring in efficiency, while on the other side, manual systems are sometimes opaque, they are sometimes slow. And so leveraging on technology in immigration has really boosted us to levels that now we are very proud of. For your information, the Directorate of Immigration was among the first government agencies to digitize. We were among the first people to enter into the e-citizen space. And for a long time, we were the only ones who were there. So we have had an experience of our own in terms of digitization. And now that we are in the era of digitization, there was no option for us. We really had to do it. And having come in at a time when there were issues, especially serving the local Kenyans, immigration serves clients even internationally. So we needed systems that are efficient for our international clients, for the Kenyans that are abroad, as well as the Kenyans that are here. So digitization has been a journey in immigration. And what I have learned is that, of course, in every space, change, there is resistance to change. And there are normally people who really don't want to change, depending on how comfortable they have been with systems. And what we have done in the last few years is that we have initiated teams to run certain systems, to digitize certain systems, and we run a lot of systems, as you have heard that I have clients all over the world. And to be able to bring everyone on board, first and foremost, you bring up teams to own up the process. So we initiated teams to own the process. You sensitize them so that they can run with it as their own. In this space of democracy, everybody has their own opinion, but when it comes to service to the people, we make sure that everyone is on board. And what I did is that I led most of those teams. I don't like surprises, so I wanted to be there to see what is going on, to be able to manage the systems. I actually was a chair of most of the teams. And I had co-chairs, so when I'm not in, the co-chair had to brief me so that we are moving at every level. And you see, when officers see you committed, they actually rally behind you. Whether they like it or not, they rally behind you. And when systems start to produce results, then you find people warm up towards the systems. The efficiency in immigration right now has made the officers very proud. So resistance, we may not feel it so much. We have more to celebrate than to resist.
Thank you so much. Thank you. One thing I'm taking from you is, even though you're delegating, you're hands-on the project. You said you're chair on every team you set up. That's commendable. Thank you so much. Looking back, what was your toughest leadership moment? What has been your toughest leadership moment?
Thank you. My toughest leadership moment was the time of crisis of passports in Kenya. And that was when I had just come in as the Director General of Immigration. And as I mentioned, I'm a practitioner and I've been in this space for more than 30 years, but I had never seen anything like that. Personally, I have been an officer in charge of passports before in my career. And when this happened, it was so critical that our then minister actually declared our space as a crime scene because of the kind of environment that lack had created. It was such a pathetic situation that anyone would have sympathized with both the officers in there and the applicants. But just allow me to say how we have overcome that. We actually relied on the faith in God, and then the professionalism that we have as immigration officers. Because immigration officers are supposed to behave in a certain way even during crisis. We would still smile, explain to you, promise you, empty promises sometimes, and sometimes we fulfill. So that was a difficult moment, not just for me, but for everyone. And what I needed to do is keep the officers together. Believe you me, we used to have prayer sessions, real prayer sessions, and I would even be there. Join them, pray with them. Because apart from being officers, we are also human beings. So we looked at our capacities as children of God, and we said, you know what? Let's turn to our Father even for the hope to keep us going. And I thank God that it didn't last long. And finally, Kenya passports now, you can get it in 3 days to 7 days. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that.
In this democratic space, people are bound to have divergent opinions. People are bound to have different schools of thought. And in my environment, it happens every other day. But in my space, we are guided by certain mandates and certain regulations and a certain way of behavior. What I do, without pointing out individual cases, we focus on the common good of the institution as well as the staff that work behind me. We focus on being professional in service delivery, and as a leader, God has given me grace to have capacity for everyone, to be courageous enough to call out and point out when I think something is not right, and just to ensure that work is done and done well. We choose our battles. I choose not to look at the negative things, but take officers towards thinking positive. I have also learned that we are all blessed differently. We have different capacities and different capabilities. When God allows us to be leaders, He also gives us very special grace. For me, grace to forgive, grace to guide and just tell you the truth as it is, and grace not to fear. I have since lost what is called fear. I just respect mankind. I respect the men and women that I work with, but I point out just as it is. And there is one verse in the Bible that has kept me on top of this issue of people having different way of seeing things. To do good to all those who deserve, if it is in your power to do it. So I do good even for the officer that thinks that they want to behave differently. And believe you me, when you do good to them, they change their attitude. When I point out officers who want to sabotage me in one way or the other, I will bring them close and even give them responsibilities. And a human being is very interesting. You give someone responsibilities and they realize, oh, this person actually recognizes who I am, and they turn around. So for me, it is just the grace of God that has kept us going. And with experience of being a leader, you tend just to manage. I manage my bosses in the same way. I manage my officers in the same way. But the underlying factor is to do good and just to be positive and to do good even for the institution.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.